Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Diren Kartal Show, episode 5. Yes, I'm buzzing. I've been getting great feedback. Thank you guys for sharing on your stories, telling your friends. It's the most listens I've ever got. My last episode was the highest so far, Life in Isolation, which banged. So I just want to say thank you guys for listening. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe now, right now, just so you can get updates every time I upload a new episode. And on today's episode, it's going to be about me. Who is Diren Kartal Part 2? Behind the scenes of January 2018 and beyond. And every time I do an episode on Diren Kartal Part 3, 4, 5, whatever, it's not just going to be about me. It's going to be about my journey that's happening, stuff that's happened, stories that have happened, things behind the scenes that you guys don't hear about, you don't see. Because number one, I don't want to put all of that on my Instagram. Number two, at that time of the place, I might not be ready to put it on Instagram, but I might be ready now to talk about it, you know? And I feel like it's very easy to hide things on Instagram, you know? I think anyone with any sort of following or anyone in general, I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't post on Instagram, but you rather talk about when the time is ready. So what I did today was I actually went through my photo gallery on my phone. I actually created a new album for this podcast because when I look at pictures, I remember things better. I can explain things better and they actually make me happy. That's why I do a lot of content where I edit a lot of old videos to make me happy, you know, make me remember the good times I had with my friends and family, especially at times like this when things are a little bit lower than usual due to COVID-19 that we're all going to beat. But on the last episode, I finished off with going off to Bali, but I kind of beat around the bush a little bit. I didn't really go into detail. Number one, at the time, I didn't really want to bore you. You know, it was like a 45-minute episode. I thought that's enough for now. And number two, I just took a shortcut, really. I didn't go into detail. And today I'm going to go a little bit more into detail. And where I left off was when me and James left for Bali, And we left from Sydney. And to be honest, I mentioned this before as well. Just a quick recap. We wasn't in a good place. I left. I pretty much walked out of a wedding. Wasn't in a good place with someone I was with for 7 years. Very difficult decision. Definitely made the right decision. It was actually very difficult leaving the country at that point. Smith had a similar situation. He had a serious girlfriend that he walked away from. He saw the potential of things, I guess, me and him could achieve together, traveling. And it just wasn't right for both of us, timing wise, as well as the people, I guess, you know. And so when we left for Bali, man, we had such a good time. I mean, I was looking at some videos yesterday, right? And even just looking at the photos of like all the great memories, like traveling is just the best thing. Like if you haven't traveled yet, and the ones that have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like people that you meet, you know, new people, being your complete self with no fear of judgment from anyone. Because no matter what we do, what we say, when you're surrounded by people that you're always around, when you're around your friends that have been your friends for years, your family, there's that element of like, you don't do certain things to upset them. You don't act a certain way because in case it might upset them or it might make them look bad, you know. But whereas when you're traveling on your own or with like your best mate, it's just different. You can just be completely yourself, right? With no fear whatsoever. And I think that's why people, you know, when they go traveling, they're like, oh, I'm going traveling, gap year. Oh my God, I'm going on my gap year. I found myself in Bali. Bruv, I'm not going to lie. I found myself in Bali, man. It was the first time I like completely let go. You know, it was crazy. The moment when me and Smith decided to leave Australia, his visa was running out and I had nothing left in Australia. I wanted to leave. I've never experienced anxiety in my life, but I felt like I just didn't feel right, you know. I think that's the closest I've ever got to being anxious. And I was just like, I need to leave. I need to leave this country to feel better. I need to completely get myself out of a situation so I don't see anyone that I know from my past, or people that are going to remind me of certain things that I don't want to be reminded, you know? And when we linked up at the airport, I was saying goodbye to my friends at George Street Fitness First, people that I spent a lot of time with. I'm actually looking at some of their photos now. Some of my clients, for you guys watching on YouTube, you'll see on the screen. And it was very difficult for me to say bye to people I spent 2.5 years with. And personal trainers will know this. Well, not just personal trainers, anyone that works in any sort of job will know that when you spend time with people on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're being so social, you build a relationship with these people, you know? And sometimes these people see things that you don't show at home, especially when you're a PT. Like if you're doing like 12 to 14 hours in a gym from like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. or whatever, you're spending a lot of time with personal trainers, especially when there's gaps, you know? So you're spending hours and hours and hours with these people. So I made a lot of good friends. I had mentors, my clients that are listening will know this. I chat to my clients like they're my friends. I treat them like family. I feel like it's one of my best ways of being able to coach people, to give a message to those people, you know, as I would chat to exactly like I would to my family, you know, although every individual is different, but we won't get into that. And it was very difficult for me to say bye to some of my clients. And I had one client, his name is Scott. I'm showing you guys on a picture, the guys watching on YouTube. And he was my client for about 2 years. He was actually blind when he first came into the gym, right? Let me tell you this. When he first came into the gym, by the way, on the gym floor, I love prospecting. I feel like I'm so good at it. It's probably one of the best things I'm good at. I saw this guy from legit like 50 meters away. The gym was pretty big. All right, maybe it was 20, 30 meters, but the gym was big. And I saw this guy a mile away. But the first thing I saw, I'm not going to lie to you guys, is his Rolex. I saw his Rolex and I was like, raw, who is that guy? Then I realized he was blind. But then I looked at his outfit. He was wearing Nike top, Nike socks, Nike trainers, Nike shorts, everything Niked up, in color coordinated as well. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? I was like, that guy's going to be my client with a Rolex like that on and an outfit like that. And he's blind and he's training in the gym. I was like, he must be someone special. So I approached him and I pretty much said to him, I said, what are you doing here? I said, it looks like you need a PT. And he was like, oh, really? I pretty much converted him that day and he ended up being my client. And I trained him 5 days a week, every week, other than the weeks that he traveled. And he was actually a very successful business person. And he was a mentor to me, and most importantly, a great friend to me in Australia. Although he was like 35, nearly 40 years older than me, but that didn't matter. You know, I could level with him when it came to conversation, when it came to talking about any topic really. And there was a lot of people like that I'd say goodbye to, and it was challenging for me. And he's one person that's given me one of the best advice I've ever heard. He said to me, James uses this now quite a bit as well, and he loves it as well. And he said to me, Diren, listen, no matter what happens, you're going to be all right. And when you sit back and think about it, it's so true. Like no matter what happens, we're going to be okay. You know, especially with all this stuff that's happening with COVID-19. We're all stuck inside, but it's only for a period of time, and we're all going to be okay. You lose your job, you're going to be okay. You'll get another. You know, you have a breakup. You break up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever. It's okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to find someone else, you know. Sounds a bit bad, but it's true. So on the way to the airport, just before I left for the airport, I packed up my suitcase at my house. I moved out and I took my stuff to the gym. The gym was my second home. I didn't know anyone else there other than my friends from football I made, but the people in the gym were the closest to me. And I took my suitcase in and I met some of my clients for a coffee before I knew I was flying out that evening. And James was seeing his friends in Bondi. Although we worked in the same gym, we had different relationships with the people in the gym because I spent a lot more time there in George Street than he did. And from there, after I spoke to everyone, said my goodbyes to people, I literally left to go to the airport to Bali, saying bye to people in the gym and to my clients. Got on the train and went to Sydney Stan Smith Airport. Is it Stan Smith Airport? Yeah. And on the way there, I rang James. I was like, hey, bro, where are you? What are you doing? I was like, are you on your way to the airport? I said, I'm just making way there. He's like, yeah, man, I'm just leaving my house. I'm like, are you all right? He's like, he's crying. I'm crying on the phone because, like, you're going through all these mad mixed emotions, you know? And it's a little bit crazy. And I get to the airport. I get there a little bit early and I've called my mum, dad, whatever. And it was such a hard time for me. I didn't talk about this on my last episode. I said I didn't want to get into detail about it, but who cares, innit, man? I was crying. I spent 7 years of my life with people there, with someone there, you know. My first time when I went to Australia, I was 17 years old, you know, and this is why I know so much about Australian culture. I've actually spent a lot of time there. That's why I've got residency there, you know. And I was like, I'm leaving here, and I know I'll come back to visit, and I know I'll come back see friends, but I won't be living here anymore. And that was a little bit of a weird transition. I also left all my clients, and listen, I was making good money in Sydney. I was bringing in cash money, you know, with my one-to-one PTs, and I was doing online stuff with the JSA, and I was bringing in cash. I literally dropped all my clients, pretty much gave a new business to my friends at George Street, gave them clients, and walked away and dropped my wage from legit over $3,000 a week to like under $1,000 a week. You know, that's a big difference. But you know what's crazy? I've never felt so good in my life feeling free with one suitcase, one backpack, and no sort of attachments. And I'll tell you what, it's the best fucking feeling on earth. Sorry, mind my French, but I can't even express how good it feels, you know? And although at the airport I was upset, I knew it was the right decision to make. And I'm waiting there and I see Smith walks over to me. We literally said nothing to each other. We hugged. You could tell we were both in a weird place. And then we checked in. We pumped each other up to be like, yeah, come on, let's go. All right, we need to start a story now. We can't be showing people that we're upset. Which is crazy, right? When you think about it, it's like, it's been a little bit fake for a minute, you know? But when people ask me this, are you really that positive on Instagram? I am, but obviously I have downtimes, like I mentioned on my last episode. But I want to be able to like kind of inspire people, make people happy, people that watch me. I don't want people to watch me and be upset, you know? So if you're in a position to influence anyone in any sort of way, I think you should use that power for good, you know? So, and that's what I did. To be fair, in saying that, I only had like 2,000 followers then. But 2,000 followers then, I was like, oh my days, I've got 2,000 followers. This is crazy. You know, so we checked in our bags. We went through security, all of that stuff. And at this point, Smith could afford buying business class flights. I couldn't at that point. So I was like, bruv, listen, I'm down for traveling and that, but I'm not going to lie, man. I'm not going to be buying no business class flights right now. He's like, nah, it's all good. We'll travel together in economy. I was like, my man, that's what I'm talking about, you know? And I was like, yeah, we're traveling properly. So we booked a place in somewhere called Free Hotel in Bali, in Canggu, which was like, we shared a room. Like there was 2 single beds in a room with a bathroom. The room is tiny. Let me look at it on my phone quickly, actually. Like, it's so small, it's ridiculous. Like, it's tiny, you know? And what was cool was you open the doors and you go into a pool. And when you look to your right, there's a load of other rooms. It's like a hostel/hotel. We had so much fun, especially the first night. The first night was mental. But going back to leaving Sydney, when I left Sydney, and it was crazy, I did a post. I posted a picture with me in with the harbour bridge behind me and all of that, and posted it. I got upset, sent an email out to like, I had like 400 people on my email list, maybe not even that, you know, telling people how I felt and what happened and blah, blah, blah. And the minute I got on the plane and the minute I felt like the wheels of the plane just like take off, you know, not the wheels take off the plane, but the plane take off. It's like my anxiety just left. It's like crazy. I felt better instantly. And this is why sometimes it's important to completely remove yourself from an environment that makes you feel a certain way to another, to change how you feel. And this is why, again, isolation can be hard. You feel a certain way at home. You know, you stay on the move, you get on the move, you see different things, you put yourself in different environments. It changes the way you feel, good, bad, negative, positive, whatever, you know. But as soon as I was on the go and I had no attachments, I didn't have to worry about getting a mortgage. I didn't have to worry about a wedding. I didn't have to worry about getting anyone else, making anyone else happy. It was the best feeling ever. All I had to worry about was me. All I had to do was worry about me. Yeah, I worry about my family, but my family are good. They can look after themselves, you know. My family only worry if I'm happy. And if I'm happy, they're happy. So it was the best feeling. And this is why I'm telling you guys now, and especially at times like this, right? People that haven't appreciated traveling or never traveled, do yourself a favor, book yourself a flight somewhere you haven't been, go on your own, or go with someone you love, go with a friend, doesn't matter. Don't be scared to go alone. Go and explore, you know. And I'm telling you now, you'll have the time of your life. And so in Bali and Canggu, we stayed somewhere called the Free Hotel, which was amazing. So Bali was a weird place because Smith has already been there once, but I've never been. So I was learning the areas. There's like Seminyak, Kuta, Canggu. Canggu's the spot, by the way. So for everyone that's asked me all the time, where should I say in Bali? Listen up right now, okay? You listen up right now, and then don't ask me again in the DMs. No, I'm joking. You can ask me. It's all good. But so for the English guys, so for you guys from the UK and that, Seminyak and Kuta, you know what that's like? It's like the Magaluf for Australians. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sorry to all the Aussies listening. No offense there. Hope you don't take any offense. Yeah, it's like the Magaluf. It's bait. You know, it's rowdy. You know, there's bintang shirts everywhere. People screaming like it's not my sort of place. Canggu is a good mix of like that hippie, I'm gonna try to figure my life out sort of thing, but as well as like a bit of Western society, enough Western society that we're kind of used to be able to live there, but also knowing that you're actually in Bali, you know. So it's not a city, it's just a small island. So Canggu is the spot. One of my favorite things in Canggu, and one of the main reasons I go to Canggu and spent so much time there, James knows this, anyone that knows me knows this, is Bali MMA. Excuse me. Bali MMA is mixed martial arts gym, Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu, all of that. It's a professional, there's loads of professional fighters there. It's a professional fighting gym. And they've got a lot of professional fighters in there that fight in loads of divisions in Asia, Malaysia, and well, everywhere in the world. And that place is honestly like my second home, and it's the main reason I go to Bali every year. It's just so I can go train there with Mike, see the guys that own Bali MMA, Donnie, all the boys, and Andrew, everyone, Nyreen out there. I love it. It's like my second family there. And if you ever go to Bali, go and do a training session there. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I've never seen such a welcoming gym in my life before. Because this isn't a plug, by the way. I'm just talking from experience. I've trained in a lot of places, and although martial arts can be very intimidating to people that have never done it, it's actually one of the most humbling things. And you'll notice when you meet a lot of fighters, although they stunt a lot to promote fights and everything, they're probably the most humble athletes I've ever met. You know, it's amazing. Like having the power to be able to beat the living shit out of someone, it does humble you, you know. And if you're not humble and you go in there and you do a session, you'll be humble very, very quickly, you know. Like the power of feeling powerless is crazy. And the time that we spent in Bali was great. It was amazing. It it really helped me figure a lot of things out. I had time to think about just me, and most importantly, I was having a great time. I had no worries in the world, and I think that feeling alone kind of made me figure out kind of what I want to do. You know, I didn't know I wanted to do a podcast. I didn't know what I was doing with socials. All I knew was I'm like a personal trainer, and I just want to do stuff online, and kind of just living in the present and working on things uh, bit by bit accumulated to all this other stuff happening that I didn't even know that was going to happen. I just knew that I wanted to do big things. Although I feel like I haven't done big things yet, I know they're coming. I'm just going to keep working hard and keep hustling. One thing about Bali is you can only spend like 2 months there maximum, so you have to do visa runs. And me and Smith, we didn't extend our visas there, so we can do a visa run. And one of the visa runs that we did was in Singapore, which we had like such a great time. And I'm looking at some pictures now in Singapore. We went and spent a night at Marina Bay Sands, which is sick, like crazy. It's unbelievable. The infinity pool is wicked, but then like that's it. After the infinity pool, like the hotel room is like any other hotel room, and it's good, but for the price you pay, like after you've done it once, you don't really care. By the way, Marina Bay Sands, if anyone is listening, if you offer me a free night, I will come and stay there. But yeah, like the infinity pool itself is they actually make the water cold on purpose so you don't spend too much time there, because people legit go there just to take photos, and which was amazing. And one of the cool things about having followers is at that point I remember getting up to like 6,000-7,000 followers or something, and Smith was on probably like 55,000-60,000. At that point, Smith had a few followers from Singapore, so there was a few girls that met us and took us around, and it was cool. That's one of the coolest things about having followers in different countries is you put one post about things to do, or if you need a bit of help, like people just come and show you around, and it's amazing. And that's one of the most amazing things about social media. It's one of the powerful things about social media that we can all benefit from. Meeting, connecting with people. And yeah, so after we got back and did our visa run, after we had a lot of good times in Singapore, Smith had to go back to Sydney for a week for a JSA challenge, which was the first JSA challenge. I didn't want to go. I was not ready to go back into Sydney after just being away for like 5 weeks. I didn't want to enter into for at least like 6 to 8 months. I was like, nah, I don't want to be there right now at all, and so I had to spend time on my own in Bali. Smith ran off, and you know what, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't ready to spend time on my own. What I did was I met a lovely girl in Australia. Her name is Felicity, and she was actually in the UK at the time, and I didn't want to spend any time on my own. Barely knew her at the time, so I sent her a message. I was like, Fliss, have you ever been to Bali? She said no. And I was like, listen, I'm not going to lie, I don't want to be alone right now. I'm going to get myself a nice villa. You're more than welcome to come join me. If you haven't been to Bali before, don't think too much. Buy yourself a flight and come over to Bali, and I'll get us a villa and we'll hang out for a week or 10 days. And that's what I did, and I live for those things. I really wasn't that person before. And I wanted to do things that kind of made me uncomfortable and do things I've never done before. So I just invited this random girl that I didn't really know that well at the time. And she came over, and we had a great time. I had a great time. She had a great time. And it just kind of took off from there. And then, yeah. And it's those things that like are really enjoying life. Whereas before I used to think about things too much, It's like some decisions, we should just do things. Just do it, like Nike, innit? Just do it. Like, stop thinking about it. Just go for it. Do it. And whatever happens, happens. And whatever happens, you'll be all right. It either works out bad, or it works out good and you carry on chatting. And if you don't chat, either way, I'm sure you would have had a good time, So yeah, so I wasn't actually ready to spend time on my own. And that's why I did that. It's crazy. I'm someone, and I've mentioned this before on other podcasts, is I get a lot of my energy from other people. And mentally, I wasn't ready to spend time on my own. It's mad. And this is one of the reasons I think me and Smith became close in Bali, because he was in the same place and I was in the same place, where we always had people around us in our bad times. And I think with the people that you spend a lot of time with in those rough times, you actually become maybe not dependent, but you become close. You become close to each other, you know? And I think that's how you get good friendships that form, or completely the opposite, you know? That's when you know when your real friends are there for you or they're not, you know, when you're going through tough times. You know, it was a time where I learned a lot of things in my life. And after all that, after spending time with her in Bali, after James got back, I was living my best life in Bali. I was drinking. I went from not drinking at all. Only started drinking like 2 years ago, legit, when I left for Bali, pretty much. And after that, we decided to go back to the UK. Coming back to episode 1, those are the bits I've missed out. Coming back to the UK, I was buzzing to get back to the UK. At this point, I hadn't seen my family for a very long time. I think something around like a year and a half. I didn't see my family, my mum, my dad, my sister. So I was ready to go back and see them. And one of the cool things was, one of the things I said about not thinking about something, just doing it. When we left Bali, because we made such good friends, and because a lot of things changed for us in Bali that year, I think me especially, I grew and I changed a lot, you know, and it was important. And I think that's why I've got this weird attachment to Bali. And when we left, one of our good friends, Alina, that we met there, that you guys would know, and if you don't, you'll see her in our story soon, especially my story soon. And she wrote us this nice letter, you know, and it was weird. It got a bit emotional. And because you formed this new personality in this new country, and I knew going back home, people were going to see me different. People were going to see me very different to how I was before, you know, which kind of scared me a little bit, kind of frightened me a little bit. I was hoping all my friends still liked me. But at the same time, I didn't really care, you know. I was just like doing me. I was being more selfish. And so when we left for Bali, it was very... We were upset on the way to the airport, leaving Bali, but we knew there was big things that were going to happen in the UK. Well, I didn't know, but I was just hoping there would be big things happening in the UK. And when we got to the airport, keep in mind, like, I'm not earning that much money. I'm earning enough to get by. I'm earning enough to have a good, like, enjoy a good lifestyle. But got to the airport, right? So we're flying with Emirates to Dubai. We're having a stopover in Dubai and then flying from Abu Dhabi to London. And got to the Bali airport, and from there saw the queue of economy. I was like, nah. I was like, oh, this ain't happening. And I had some savings. I had savings in Australia that I was going to get a mortgage, a house with, all this stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with that. You can do that if that makes you happy, but it didn't make me happy. And I was like, why do I have like these savings if I'm not ever gonna use it? Like, I should be enjoying this, you know what I mean? I'm like 26 years old. 25, sorry. No, 25, yeah. And I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy it. So I went to the queue and I was like, how much is business class? And Smith looked at me like, what are you doing? I said, let's just see it. How much is business class? They said the upgrade is $1,000. I said, yeah, $1,000. That's like £500. I said, yeah. I said, we'll get 2. So I got 2 business class flights. Me and Smith flew business. And that was the first time ever I bought myself a business class flight. And I know it sounds silly. And I know there's people that like, oh my God, look at this person taking a picture of a business class flight and posting it on Instagram and all this stuff. But the feeling of being able to buy a business class flight, it's not even that it's anything crazy. It's just having the mental capacity to not care and just pay for it and just sit down and enjoy it. That was a big achievement for me, because I used to think about things so much. I never calculated, if I buy a business class flight right now, I work online. I can go sit in the lounge. I can do more work in the lounge. I can write another email. I can create a new video. I can make more content, whatever, while I'm waiting for my flight, instead of wasting time around the airport, which can potentially help me grow as a business person, as a person, and another way I can help you guys, by creating more content or writing another email or replying to all my clients on time, And so it was one of those things where I sat down and I was absolutely buzzing. From the age of 17, when I first flew out to Australia to travel, I would always walk past those aisles and I'd always be like, oh, one day I'm going to sit business class, 100%. I don't care. I'm going to sit business class. I'm going to enjoy it. And one day it's going to be a permanent thing. I'm going to make sure it happens every time. And so that was a big achievement for me. And it was the coolest thing. It was crazy. When I walked in, someone was like, oh, Mr. Kartal, how are you? I was like, no, don't call me that. I was like, just call me Diren. I got so excited. I didn't know how to chat to the person that was serving me on the flight because I didn't know what I can do and what I can't. It was like, sorry, can I get more food? They're like, yeah, of course you can get more food. What would you like? And I'm like, okay, cool. Can I get a bit of this? They're like, would you like anything else? I'm like, if I can, yeah. So I got so excited and I told the girl that was working for Emirates girls, fit, by the way. And I told her, I was like, this is my first time flying business class, And I said, it's pretty cool. So she gave me this little package. And then she gave me 5. You get these little packages when you fly business class, with cream, shaver, deodorant, all this stuff. She was like, how many family members do you have? And I was like, oh, I've got my mum, dad, sister. And she gave me 4 of these little packages to go give to them because I was so maybe appreciative, or I just told her exactly how I felt. Because I'm assuming they actually deal with a lot of pricks that fly business class. People that walk in there, think they're entitled to act a certain way, talk to people in a certain way, which I hate. I saw a guy click once and I wanted to just go slap him. I just hate things like that. So when I saw that, when she must have seen maybe someone that genuinely is having a great time and is really appreciating where they are, I think she enjoyed seeing that back. So she just paid me a lot of attention. She brought me extra food and yeah, it was good. It was a wicked experience, Got back to England and I'm looking at this picture now for you guys that are watching on YouTube. It's a picture of me and James hugging at the airport. And sorry, before that, we spent a day in Dubai where we actually just got smashed. Then went to Abu Dhabi and then flew out from Abu Dhabi to London. And when I got to Dubai, me and James have spent pretty much 3 months every day together. We hugged it by. He went to Windsor and I went to Edmonton. He went to his house, pretty nice house, pretty big house, got his own room, got his own space. And I went to London to my parents' house. Haven't seen my family in a long time, which I was buzzing to see my parents, buzzing to see all my cousins. And it was such a great feeling to be back home. I was so happy to be back, and it was very different for everyone that will see me now because I was a very different person. But I didn't know what was going to happen when I was in London. I was just like, I'm just going to carry on with online PT, do my best. Hopefully, at this point, I was a contractor for JSA. I was working for JSA. I was working for 2 of my best mates. I was like, my goal is to have enough following, be able to market myself properly, learn what I can from my mentors around me, get all my own clients and do that. I eventually ended up doing that and I do that now, which is great, by the way. It's the best feeling. But before that, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't realize going back to the UK what would happen, right? So when I got back to the UK, Smith told me some guy approached him, some guy that does events. His name is Luke, who is now his manager and my manager. And he said, oh yeah, this guy approached me about manager. What do you think, Diren? I was like, bro, listen, managers, agents, just a heads up. These people are sneaky. They're sneaky, He goes, I'm going to go meet him. I said, cool, go meet him and then let me know what he's like, innit? I was like, because I know snakes when I see him, man. I know snakes when I see him. And he's messaging me. He's like, oh, this guy just picked me up in a Ferrari. And I was like, oh, of course he picked you up in a Ferrari, bro. He's trying to wow you. Of course, this is what these people do. They try to wow you and then put you in their pocket. I said, don't be where he wants you to be, bruv. I said, ask questions, whatever. And I was like, I need to meet this guy. And he was like, he wants to do events. He wants to do a UK tour with me. And I was like, bro, go for it, whatever. I said, is there a contract, blah, blah, blah. And the man Luke, who manages us now, he didn't line up any contract with James at that point. He was like, I want you to trust me and blah blah. And I thought, fuck, you know, that's a first. Because I've got a lot of friends that play football. So I've seen people that they deal with, agents, managers. They're usually pricks. If there's any managers listening, I'm sorry, but you know what I'm talking about. And you have to be a little bit. You have to not be sneaky, but you have to know certain things. You act a certain way, maybe to get that person's attention, to sell them, to get them as your client, whatever. And they had UK tours set, which was about 6 weeks from when we got to London. And I was like, oh, sick, buzzing for you. I'll be like, yeah, man, I'll come and support you. Sorry. Yep, I just burped. And I'm not even going to edit that out. So he was like, I was like, yeah, wicked. Let me know the dates, man. I'll come support you. Not a problem. Like, I'll be there for you as a friend. He was like, yeah, they want to pay for your train tickets, get your hotel room, all that stuff. I was like, yeah, why? They were like, oh, they've been watching us since we were in Bali and they've been seeing us both on the screen and all that stuff. I said, oh, okay, cool. I was like, let me meet this guy, bruv. So the first show was in Wales. It was about 150 people or something, 120 people or something like that. At this point, I've got 10,000 followers. But it's got nothing to do with me. This is James's tour. So I was like, I'll come, bro. I'll come and support you as a friend. So I was just going to sit in the audience and just be there. I didn't know at this point, like, although I had 10,000 people following me on Instagram, I didn't realize when I get there, people would know who I am, which was mind-blowing to me. You don't understand. And it still is to this day. It's crazy. I get there, right? I'm just looking at the picture. There's a picture of me and James on stage and me and the manager sitting on chairs in Wales, right? And I get there. And before the show, they hand me a microphone, right? And I'm like, what? What's going on here? They're like, oh, you're involved in the show. And I'm like, what do you mean we're involved in the show? I was like, what's going on? At this point, James hasn't written no PowerPoint. We don't know what's going on. We just like rocked up. I was like, James, we should write some stuff down. He was like, oh, we'll just go with it and see what happens. I was like, cool, whatever. You know, one thing with when we go out and do these things is obviously now it's a lot more planned and James is a lot more experienced and so am I. Keep in mind, I've never done any public speaking. James has had a few talks and stuff, but me, I had no experience in that. So when they gave me the microphone, I was like, okay, this is weird. I was like, what do you want me to do with this? They were like, just do what you guys do on Instagram. And I was like, okay, cool. So the plan was, James was going to go out for like 20 minutes or so. This is the first show. And there's no PowerPoints, there's no slides, nothing. There's just a picture of James, right? He's on stage. He walks out on stage. People cheer like, woo. I get there. And we planned before the show, sorry. James is like, so I'm going to go in. I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then I'll call you out. And then you jump on stage. And then we can just go with it. And I was like, okay. This is weird. I just thought I was coming to just help out a mate, you know. I thought like I was coming to watch my friend play football or something, you know. One of those things. And so James jumps on stage. About 30 to 40 seconds in, I'm watching from like the roof bit. I'm taking like stories like, oh, this is crazy. And then he jumps on. He doesn't freeze, but I could tell that he like paused in it. And I was like, oh, snap. I was like, is this going to be like that episode at 8 Mile? So he calls me out within 20 seconds, right? And I was thinking he's going to talk for a while. As soon as he calls me out, right, I could see with him, he got more comfortable straight away because obviously, just in case if anything did happen, keep in mind this is the first show, I'm there to back him up. And if anything happened with me, I could back him, he could back me up, you know? And then as soon as I got on and we just started bouncing back and forth with each other. And it ended up being wicked. Like, it was sick. I had so much fun. I didn't even know I was going to be involved in these shows. And then again, it was James's tour. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to be there and support my friend. Because I've never, ever, with him, with anyone, any of my friends that are successful, right? I've never, ever been interested in being able to get anything from them or expect anything. You know what I mean? I've just always been there to support. And since I've done that with so many of my friends, it's opened me so many doors. You know, it's given me an opportunity to show myself and what my potential is and what I can achieve. And I think it's really important we all have that sort of mentality. You know, just be kind, be nice, do things that are, get out your way to do things for people that you love, people that you spend time with, people that you respect. You know, these things, people see these things and they open doors for you. You know, and I feel like a lot of things have happened like that for me, you know, especially in the last 2 years. And it's given me an opportunity to showcase myself. And by the time we got to, by the time we did 3, 4, 5 shows, these shows were happening all over summer, all across summer, around the UK. And keep in mind, I've never really been around the UK. I don't know much about the UK. I've traveled a lot around the world, but I actually haven't been to a lot of places in the UK. So thanks to the tour, I actually got to travel the UK, which was amazing. Meet so many people that I've made programs for within the JSA, met so many people that have inboxed me so many times, people that follow me on Instagram, and it was crazy. It was amazing. Like, I didn't think in any way when we left Australia, like, all this was possible. I knew things were going to happen and things would happen, but I didn't know it was going to happen like this soon, you know? And the mad thing is, it wasn't like directly, it wasn't happening to me directly. It was happening to my friend, and I felt like I was living it through that. And I was just having as good time as possible. I was treating it like it was my show, mate. I'm not going to lie. You know, I was just treating it exactly like how it is my show. And I think people see the respect that I give. People see my work ethic, to what I do for other people, and they appreciate it. And then that opens me a lot of doors to showcase myself, you know, I think. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I've just got lucky with a few things. I don't know. But after the shows, by the time, when all these shows were happening, before the UK, before we finished off the UK tours at, the last shows were in Manchester and in London, which was the biggest show. London, I think it was like 700 people, 600 to 700 people, which is crazy. So by the time we get to the London show, we've obviously become a lot more confident. James's show on his own, James's slides on his own, he became very good. By the time the tour was done, he became a very good speaker, you know, and I became a lot more confident. I wasn't at that level, but I became a lot more confident speaking in front of people and being able to, like, control the audience and be involved. And now I can say this confidently. Like, I could easily stand up on stage and talk for ages, just like this. At that point, when I was learning all of that, not when I was learning all that, when I was experiencing all of that, which was obviously I was learning on the job, I wouldn't have been able to speak like this on a podcast. The first time I did a podcast, I had to go back 3 times and restart it, you know, only because I was like, I thought I messed it up. But then I was like, you know what? Forget this. I'm just recording. Whatever happens. And the more you do things, the more you practice things, you get better at it. Same thing with content. Same thing with being on camera. The more you do it, the more natural you become at it. You know. And one thing talent can always beat, right? A way you can always beat talent, is by being disciplined and being consistent. And just practicing. It's not always about talent. It's always about being consistent and being disciplined and just practicing, you know. And this is with anything, no matter what you do, lift, do podcasts, content, you know, anything that you do, football, whatever. And but before that, right, before the end of the UK tour, where me and Smith as friends obviously became even more closer, we spent so much time together. We were doing flights to Ibiza. We were doing little flights everywhere. We were just taking off. You know, I was living my best life in Europe. That summer was my best summer ever. My life changed so much, like so much. Like I can't express how much it changed, and I don't know if I'll ever get that feeling again. Because anything that happens now, other than anything that happens for the first time, it's hard to get that feeling again, you know? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, anyway, And one thing that happened was we were at a festival that one of our managers our manager runs. And when we got invited to the festival, we wasn't as close to our manager Luke at that point. But when we got invited to the festival, we had hotel rooms sorted. We were in the hotel where all the talent was, like Craig David, all of those people, Sean Paul and that. They were staying in the same hotel, you know. And I was like, fuck, this is crazy. Like, what are we doing here? We get to the festival. We go through the back doors, VIP, everything. We go backstage, drink tickets, the lot. Like, this is all crazy. Like, it's all, I can't tell you, like, I was like, they're giving me drink tickets in my hand and I'm looking at him going, James, like, bruv, is this all for free? This is crazy, bruv. Why are they giving this to us? You know, like, I don't think at that point we didn't realize how much impact, like, especially Smith was giving to people. I didn't realize I was giving that much impact to people, especially after Neat Up 24/7 banged, which happened that summer as well. And that happened because I was pretty much, I didn't know. Me and Smith were trying to compete and getting leaner. And my way of getting leaner was just getting loads of steps. So I just kept walking around screaming Neat Up 24/7 and it just pops on the internet. And his way was with exercise activity thermogenesis training. Yeah, by doing lots of jiu-jitsu. And anyway, so after the festival and all of that, we actually, our manager's investors, by accident, Pops let something out of his mouth by saying, "Oh, you guys excited for the jet?" And we was like, "What? The jet? What are you talking about?" And then he quickly changed the conversation. I was like, "Smith, did you hear that? Did someone just say something about a jet, like a private jet?" He's like, I think he did, but I don't think it will happen. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. In it, either way, I don't care. At this point, I'm happy getting bloody free drink tickets. Like, I don't care if I get invited to get on a jet or not, you know? So, but then, before the last two shows, we get a call up from our manager saying, "Hey boys, we want to meet us in Portsmouth at this time, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "Where are we going?" They're taking us. Our manager Luke took us to Ibiza for a night on a private jet to say, like, well done on what you guys have achieved over the last few months, over the tour and stuff, you know. And like I said, I was just there on tour to support my mate, you know, but I didn't realize I'd actually play a big part. And now it's like, when Smith does his live tours, like, I'm there. People expect me to be there. I know people buy tickets now because I'm there, you know, and I can confidently say that. Whereas before, I didn't have that confidence. You know, I was just like, oh, I'm just there. But then after so much time, I realized, oh, snap, I actually add value to what's happening, you know. And sometimes it's hard to get that around your head because sometimes you doubt yourself in things until someone you really trust reassures you in things, you know. And when people I trust reassured me in certain things, I was like, fuck yeah, you know what? I add value to this. This is sick. I deserve this too, you know. And James knew that. I knew that now, you know. The manager knew that. Luke knew that. And by the way, I keep saying manager because we just like to keep him low key, not like low key from Marvel, like low key, innit? But so we get to the airport. Me and Smith get there for like 2 hours earlier. We call him, we're like, "Luke, where you guys at?" We're at the jet airport. It's got like a whole different section, you know, mind blowing. And when we're there, we call Luke, and Luke's like, "What you boys doing?" We're like, "We're here, like, we're waiting, innit? We're going to check in, all that." They're like, and he's like, "Lads, it's a private jet. You can rock up late and the plane will wait for you." And we're like, oh, okay. So obviously we've never been on a jet before. So we're just like taking photos by the plane and everything. The jet lounge is like, there's coffees, there's food, champagne, you know, there's a whole another madness. And I'm like, so okay, so we've got some clothes, but I'm like, how long are we in Ibiza? They're like, we're just going for a day. So I was like, how are we getting back? Like EasyJet or whatever? They're like, no, we're bringing a jet back. And I was like, what? This is madness. I left my house, my family home, jumping on the 476. Yeah. I left my family home on Tottenham High Road. I jumped on a bus to get to the train station, to get to this airport, and now you're telling me I'm going on a private jet to Ibiza for a night. I was like, where are we staying? They're like, don't worry, lads, I've got a surprise for you. We get to Ibiza, and keep in mind, when we posted pictures by the jet, when I posted pictures by the jet, the first thing I was saying, it was like, hashtag not my jet, you know, because not that it mattered, but I just didn't want people thinking I was paying for it. And I didn't want people thinking I was a knob, because a lot of people do. But then I thought, you know what? Fuck those people. I'm having a great time. I'm just going to post a picture with me by a jet with my mates, living my best life, you know? And it's proof that, like those key things I mentioned before, you be kind, you be a good person, you work hard, you show discipline, you respect the people around you, you do things for other people. You do things thinking of other people as well. Things will come back around to help you as well, you know? And so I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to post it. I'm glad I did. All my friends from East London, North London, whatever, they were like, this is crazy, Diren. I was like, you think this is crazy? Imagine how I feel. I sat on the plane. There was a ride on the plane. There was all sorts of drinks you can think of, like on the jet. And I was like, my mind was blown. I'm sitting on the jet, and I'm like looking outside. The jet hasn't even took off yet. And like Luke's like tapping me on the shoulder. The boys, they're like, Diren, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, man, I just need a minute. I just need a minute to like take all this in, because it's absolutely crazy. We get to Ibiza, and then we drive to Ushuaia. I think that's how you say it. And we get there, and we're staying in like one of the best hotels in Ibiza, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. I'm like, where are we staying? We have a stage room where there's going to be a show later in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh my god. And then we also had a suite, so I was like, we have a stage room to watch what's happening, and then we have a suite to go sleep in, or to have an after party, more like. So I was like, my mind was blown away from all of this. I just couldn't stop thanking people like around me, like thank you. Like people end up telling me to shut the fuck up, because they're like, just enjoy it, you deserve all this, whatever. And again it was hard for me to believe that, like, how's all this happening, you know? I guess I'm just someone that I know I'm someone that appreciates even the smallest things, you know? And it was just such an amazing thing for me. And looking at the photos now, like at that time, was like mind-blowing. There's me, James, Jade, Luke and Ant just running out. We're in budgie smugglers, just running around in Ibiza, you know. Got there on a private jet for a day. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's crazy. We got back the day after having a crazy night. Got back the day after. I have to wake up and thinking, these boys don't want to drink again. But I realised I'm surrounded around so many drinkers. And they end up drinking again. They're like, Diren, you're going on a private jet again to London. How are you not going to drink? And I was like, they've got a fair point. I might not be able to get on a private jet again, you know? So why don't we just take advantage of it? And so we're getting booze before we even get on, having like coconut daiquiris in Ibiza before we fly back to London. And that week was crazy because we got back to London. Me and Smith stayed together. We stayed together in Clapham. Then we ended up traveling to Manchester for the Manchester show. Did a crazy show. The Manchester show was amazing. There was like 500 people, I think. After the Manchester show, the day after, I had a huge night. The day after, straight to London for the London Live, where I was going to have family and friends there too, which was the biggest show. And by the time we got to the London show, we were a lot better. James was way better. I was a lot better. I was way more confident on stage. And we just had a great time and ended up going out with all our families and friends that night. That day was a bit of a weird day for me. Before I got on stage, I actually got news that my granddad died. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit weird for me to like get that news and then go on stage and just like try to be positive. It was hard, but luckily my granddad, he was an old guy. He was like 90. He was like 94, 95. So he had a good life. So it didn't matter. But after the show, we had a great time with family and friends. And me and Smith were so exhausted after the shows. We just needed just days off at home. And one of the crazy things in doing those shows is like the last show, the UK tour, and supporting Smith on his book tour, is you're talking to so many people. So many people are trying to talk to you. And every time I talk to someone, I make sure I give them my full attention. Because if you've got the power to help someone or whatever, when you're talking to them, I think you should use that power for good. And if any day I turn around and end up not being that person, I know for sure my mum, my dad will slap me round the face. But I'll never be that person. When I'm talking to someone, I give them my full attention. I ask them about them, and I ask them what they need from me, how I can help them, or whatever, even if it's a pitch or whatever. And when you do that with literally hundreds of people on the day of a show, sometimes, well, the last London show was 1,200 people, and you're doing that with that many people, it's absolutely crazy. Your brain gets so fried, and you are the center of attention. And one way or another, people want to chat to you, yeah? And when all that goes away, and you go home alone, well, man ain't going home alone, bruv. Not alone, but when you go home alone the day after, like, it all comes, not crashing down, but you think, wow, the night before you had all this attention, and now today, like, you feel like a nobody. And I am nowhere near where I want to be, and I want to be able to spread my message to so many people, and I want to get to a point where a lot of people know me for the message that I give. But all I could think of was all those people, that big time celebrities that have anxiety problems, and people with millions of followers that get this attention on a day-to-day basis, walking around the streets of anywhere, that get this sort of attention, and when they go home and they're completely alone, how does that play with them? How does that play with their mindset? It must be so mentally challenging for them. And you can see why some of those people will feel the way that they feel, you know? Not saying I felt like that. I was fine. Although it felt weird getting a lot of attention one day, and the next day you feel like a nobody. But like, and I've never openly spoke about this because that's why I kind of call this like behind the scenes. And like I said before, we don't always really talk about exactly how we feel on Instagram or whatever. I just wanted to say it on the podcast. And James will say the same thing. And I appreciate having this journey with James, because we can talk about these things together. And although at the moment he's way more popular than I am at the moment, but I can relate to the things he's saying, and I completely understand because I've seen it all happen. So it's great to be able to have a friend to talk to about these things, you know, and completely understand. And I think that's why we understand each other so well. You know, he knows this as well. Like, sometimes I don't have to say nothing. He'll know exactly what I'm thinking. He won't have to say nothing. I'll know exactly what he's thinking. You know, and it's just, that's only because we spent so much time together doing a lot of things together, right? And yeah, after the show, it was great. That summer was definitely the best time of my life. That was a period of my life where I learned so much. And I'll say we'll call it a day for Diren Kartal Part 2, behind the scenes from January 2018. And that was pretty much 2018, other than the other small bits, spending time with my family, the important things with my friends. And then we actually head back to Australia, do a bit more traveling. I did a bit more traveling. I spent more time in Bali. And but yeah, just want to say thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoying this. Please subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think of the podcast. I hope it helps you. I hope it's an easy lesson, and I hope you get something out of today. And when I say the episode about Diren Kartal Part 2, I'm only talking about behind the scenes stories and talking about myself, is to be able to tell you guys in a way basically exactly how I'm feeling. And this is mad therapeutic for me, but I also want you guys to understand it's so completely normal to feel the way that you feel sometimes, you know. And remember, whatever that's happening in your life, whatever that you're going through, number one, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. And number two, there's a lot of people feeling exactly the same as you. So you're never truly alone, if that makes sense. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope to see you guys soon. Peace.